Good morning, class. Good afternoon, possibly good evening. My name is Connor Nelson. I'm a senior here at Troy University. I've had a few classes with some of you. This is my first time in leadership with. I've enjoyed senior seminar to this point. Even though this video is going to be submitted a little late, hope it doesn't reflect my grade, and I look forward to finishing the class strong. And anyway, I'm just going to jump right into this briefing today. Today's briefing is going to be on the movie Crimson Tide, not the Alabama football team, but the movie starring Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington. Just to give you a brief background on the movie, it's centered around a naval submarine by the name of the USS Alabama, hence it's given Crimson Tide nickname. And on this ship you have the CO, Captain Ramsey, played by Gene Hackman, who is the war-hardened captain of the naval submarine, and you have kind of juxtaposed. You have Captain Hunter, Lieutenant Commander Hunter, who is the Harvard graduate, the Naval Academy graduate, with the book smarts, but no war experience, no battle experience. So you kind of get a feeling that some rocky roads are ahead. Dr. Shannon posed 3 questions for us to be answered in this briefing. The 3 questions are: 1. Discuss what you believe were the core leadership styles of Captain Ramsey and Lieutenant Commander Hunter, and then explain why you selected these styles. Question 2. What leadership styles depicted in the movie would you want to emulate or not emulate, and why? And finally, question 3. According to Kelly's followership description, select a scene and describe the type of follower depicted, and speak to the type of leadership that was used in conjunction with the follower. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into question 1, and we're going to review the leadership styles of these 2 said men. First, Captain Ramsey, played by Gene Hackman. He illustrated an autocratic or authoritarian style of leadership. This style of leadership is usually characterized by one individual making the decisions for the rest. This style also accepts little to no input. It's kind of I relate this to the saying "my way or the highway." Captain Ramsey, and you got the feeling right off the bat that he was a hard-nosed, military man that wasn't changing his ways for anyone. And he's the last captain to have combat experience. To me, that speaks to why he is the way he is. He's been in those hard situations where, he didn't have time to think about what needed to be done. He had to give the say-so, and then all of his subordinates needed to listen and to follow, or they were going to die. And, I don't fault him for that, but I do not believe that style of leadership was the best-case scenario for this film. And I say that because there's a quote from the movie where Captain Ramsey is speaking to Commander Hunter, and Captain Ramsey says, looks like the whole crew needs a kick, excuse my language, a kick in the ass, and Commander Hunter says, or a pat on the back, sir. And this perfectly leads into my description of Commander Hunter's leadership style. Now, he was a Harvard grad, like I said, went to the Naval Academy, and you could tell he was book smart. However, he didn't have the experience Captain Ramsey had. But Hunter illustrated multiple leadership styles throughout the film. I would say his style was a mixture of a few different leadership styles, one being democratic and the other being participative. Democratic is obvious, facilitates conversation. You want to hear the opinions of your followers or subordinates, and their input could be positive, could help the situation, and Commander Hunter definitely wanted to hear that from people. And the participative aspect, he seeks to involve others. It's very similar to democratic, but I say he used a mixture of these because he knew when to use it, what situation needed what style of leadership, and that's why I believe I would have. We'll get to that later. Finally, we'll move on to question 2. Let's see. Question 2. What leadership styles depicted in the movie would you want to emulate or not emulate, and why? After some thought on this, I came to this conclusion pretty easily. Personally, I would want to emulate the leadership styles presented by Hunter, particularly the participative aspect of his leadership. Participative leadership involves or allows subordinates to provide their input towards a situation. I like to relate this to Lieutenant Zimmer, who was the communications officer Now, Hunter didn't have to do this, but he knew that the only way they were going to be able to see what was on that second EAM was to go continually check on Lieutenant Zimmer, who was the communications officer. By doing this, he made sure that Zimmer had everything he needed to repair that communications malfunction. So, without that participative aspect of his leadership, who knows, maybe that second EAM would have never been deciphered and they would have launched a nuclear, attack. And we all know what that leads to. So furthermore, followers tend to be more committed when you have a participative style leader. Unlike Captain Ramsey's autocratic style, Hunter was able to feel out the crew, giving them an advantage in this tense situation. So while stress was high, he knew what the crew needed, and that allowed him to get more done on the ship, and the final outcome was not a nuclear war. Okay, moving on to question 3. According to Kelly's followership description, select a scene and describe the type of follower depicted and speak to the type of leadership style that was used in conjunction with the follower. Now the scene I selected was a little bit different from I think what everyone else has selected so far, but this was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, partially because I'm a nerd and I like comics. But anyway, after a scuffle on the sub, Hunter confronts Petty Officer Rivetti. If you all remember, there was I believe they were in the cafeteria and there was a fight that broke out, and Denzel Washington, Commander Hunter, follows Rivetti out just kind of see what the issue was. Well, he confronts Petty Officer Rivetti about why the men were fighting. Rivetti, as described by Kelly's followership, I would say that he's an effective follower. There's no really background on him on the ship, but judging by his character, I would say he was an effective follower. However, Hunter knew that he had to take a situational approach to this instance. Like I said before, this is a stressful atmosphere on a nuclear sub, so Hunter knew that he needed to apply the situational approach. Hunter disciplined Rivetti, but he relieved some of the tension by agreeing that the Kirby Silver Surfer was the only true Silver Surfer. So not only did he inform or reiterate the fact that Rivetti needed to perform his task and not let simple, fights and arguments get in the way of the big picture, he also was able to lighten the situation by, cracking a joke with Rivetti. And in my opinion, that's the best way to lead, is, keep things light even in a tense situation as being on a naval sub with nukes on it. So in conclusion, today we've discussed the two styles of leaderships depicted by Captain Ramsey and Commander Hunter. I stated which leadership style I would like to emulate, which is that of Captain Hunter's, a democratic or participative style, and even situational. I just think that he was in this situation. I'm not faulting Captain Ramsey, but I believe Commander Hunter had the better take to carry out what his job was, and that's to either prevent or start a nuclear war. And finally, question 3, according to Kelly's followership description, select a scene and describe the type of follower depicted in the scene, and the type of leadership style that was in conjunction with the follower. And like I said, the Rivetti scene with the comic book, that really spoke to me on Hunter's leadership style and his ability to build a relationship and keep that strong relationship while getting the job done. I hope you all enjoyed my briefing today, and have a good remainder of the class, and thank you.